Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. What up to the YouTube dudes? It's been a little interesting. Pitt boss went on a couple of YouTube channels. Just a little. I just saw a comment in the chat room, and then I sit back and wait. No longer than 2 or 3 minutes. And the host of the show gonna go, "We got digital pit bulls in the house." As soon as I pair of eyes in the chat room, we got there. Now who's laughing? What up with you? So I visited 2 channels. Somebody in my chat room invited me over to Yehuda Nazareth. I think I went over there about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Stayed on their channel till 2:33. And then they kept the show going till 10 a.m. in the morning. Now let me give a quick breakdown. The Yehuda Nazareth was in the chat room of Israel Doctrine. Way back. And y'all know, if Israel Doctrine get credit for anything, he get credit for beating up the Hebrew Israelites. That there is no Hebrew Israelite in the Bible. There is the Israelites. There are the Hebrews. But calling themselves Hebrew Israelites is just not in the Bible. So Jude of Nazareth, being watching the show, decided, when he finally decided he gonna do some YouTube, he ain't gonna call himself a Hebrew Israelite. He gonna call himself an Israelite. It was so funny being on the show. So goddamn hilarious to watch how a human being spirit can become end. And once your spirit go dark, your comprehension level drops greatly. And you can comprehend many things, but you cannot comprehend the light. Damn, it's sad to see. It's sad to see. There's a thing called the digital world and another called reality. The world in which you actually open your eyes to. And everybody in America knows, when you wake up and jump in your car and ride around town, you're going to pass by church after church after church after church. Big buildings, big economics, big politics, big affluence, big establishment. And because you're not a part of it, because you're not involved, and your heart is darkened, all you see is the flaw. They pulling all this money out the hood and they ain't giving nothing back. They ain't giving nothing back. That's what you see driving by the big in your whip. Because you trying to figure, this shit cost millions of dollars. And the doors ain't closing year after year. If the COVID come, the church ain't closing. If the stock market fall, the church is still open. Doesn't matter. You can't understand it. Now, has the church establishment been invaded by the dark side? Yes, they have. We got an example of that in the Bible. In Revelations, first 3 chapters open up about 7 churches and describes the parallels in the churches. And one of those churches went absolutely dark. That's what happens. That's what happens. Now, in comparison to the church, comparing it to the YouTube conscious community, there is no development. There is no elevating with these dudes. All of them got just trash conversation, trash information. Round of the conscious community, and we're going to call the starting point, we'll give it to Sinetta, right? Even though Sinetta was just one of multiple channels that was posting conscious information, right? But Sinetta decided that he would just put all the esoteric knowledge on his channel. Bobby Hemmett, Dr. Clark, Yosef Ben Yakadin, Wilson, all the bullshit information that we had compiled itself on Sinetta TV. The Hebrew Israelites was not yet involved. They didn't get involved until Sinetta decided he gonna pull up on One West. He didn't even know they was One West. He just seen some dudes in leather outfits screaming and hollering on the corner. Just so happened to be Tazariak. And Tazariak didn't know who in the hell Sinetta was. This was about to be the merging of a satanic marriage. Both of them working the same angle. One working from the outside, the other working from the inside. Sinetta banging at the establishment, Christianity, from the outside. And Tazari at the establishment, Christianity, from the inside, claiming to be a believer in the Bible. Here's the funny thing about why both of them is trash, right? If you're a person who decides you want to learn about the Bible, but you want a deeper knowledge than just going to church on Sunday, you might decide to do some historical research. And you're going to start with the story of the Bible and ask yourself, what time period does Jesus take place? And you're going to research that, and you're going to come to find out he is the beginning of what we call the period. He brings it in. He's the pinnacle, the time stamp on when the AD period begins. Primarily, they try to date it with the birth of Jesus. Somewhat to say, going under Jesus would be 2,000 and 22 years old. Maybe 23 years old, 24, given that they might not exactly know when he was born and they just threw a date out there making assumptions. And so you say, well, let's start there and let's see what happens with the story. In the beginning of the Jesus paradigm, the Israelites are present. They're an operating church in the Roman citizenship. Jesus runs across them. Several books record the interaction. And he scolds them, calls them vipers and synagogue of Satan, and that the power of God would destroy their church, their generation. This is where that preterism is very necessary to understand. This is the Tazariacs and the Youth of Nazareth paradigm coming to an end, where we about to destroy that paradigm, right? So Jesus, the narrative goes, he grabs 12 guys and he personally teaches them. Now, when you're taught by God directly, you are awarded the title a prophet because you're being taught by God. God can teach you through inspiration, and according to the narrative, he can teach you in person in the form of a man named Jesus. And so he sent 12 prophets into all the world. He directly told them, go into all the world and preach the gospel. Now, because that was a direct order from God, if you disobeyed the order, you would not be a prophet. And none of them disobeyed the order. What does that say? That the prophets of God went into all the world. Now, this throws a lot of those Hebrew Israelites and others that call themselves studying the Bible, because they know that the prophets didn't go to America and India and South America and all through Africa. So if they didn't go through the physical world, how could they then have preached the gospel to all the world? This is where it becomes a real Bible student and understanding what's actually being said. I can't give you the proper Greek or Hebrew word for the word world. But the word world did not refer to the planet. Instead, it was referring to the known world in which they lived throughout the kingdom of Rome. That was their world. It would have been like Jesus in America saying, go throughout all the world, meaning America, and preach the gospel. Then they would have been forced to go to all 50 states and preach the gospel. But they wasn't necessarily have to go to Jamaica and Mexico, just into the known world of America. That's just a little something for you to think about. Nonetheless, the mission was carried out. All the prophets returned and all the prophets died. Along with prophets dying, we're going through a process where what's being preached has to come to pass in the generation of the Old Testament Israelites as it was broken down. There we go. We got one of the members. Go get the rest of your squad, Leonard, and send them over here so they can get this work. What he say? Who was this? He said, yeah, I watched the documentary of the social dilemma. Ain't nobody touched the STEM topic like you. Appreciate that, bro. See, I'm gonna come back. Yeah, Leonardo, I want to come back over there, but the problem when I appear, notice how your boy, and I'm gonna get back to my story, but notice how your boy, when he decided to question me, he said, I heard of preterism, but he just heard of it. He heard the name. He heard of William Bell. How you gonna want to debate William Bell and claim William Bell is running from you when you haven't even went and researched the very basics of what they're teaching, and then put what they're teaching under your own personal scrutiny of real research, finding the holes in the paradigm, and then confronting those preaching it, prepared with an argument against the doctrine. See, that's how conscious community operate. The conscious community today, it operates that you come out with any information that a YouTuber never heard, and he'll Google it real quick, read the first page, and he's ready to debate with a microwave education, with a 5-minute rendition of an education, and figure he's prepared to debate. These niggas is crediting themselves with debates, topics they never studied. This is why when I drop that STEM, it can't be touched. It can't be touched. I took too long studying perspective. Studying the STEM is what made me a capitalist. Studying the STEM is what gave me the paradigm of being a Pan-African and exactly what that means in regards to upliftment of people, all people, in particular, those that need the upliftment the most, the very most. And so I didn't have to close my mind to the light, to the information of enlightenment. I didn't have to close my mind. Stalkers. I'm not sure. Oh, he said they sleep. They ain't ready for that deeper stuff if it ain't in the Torah. Notice the entire time on the show, 3 hours I'm on there going, and it's like the worst part is I'm being asked questions by a fifth grader. It's like, you want to be polite to a fifth grader and answer their questions, but we ain't gonna learn nothing if all you gonna do is ask 50 questions. And then every time somebody prepares to give you an answer, your fifth grade mentality laughs it off, shrugs it off. And then when you get an answer, because you can't comprehend the answer, you say to yourself, well, you didn't answer my question. And I say, yeah, I did answer your question. You didn't comprehend my answer. That was really the problem. So this happened to me my entire time in the conscious community, because there wasn't a single individual in the conscious community that ever understood any history about Booker T and the STEM. They never heard anybody break it down. They've never heard of the preterist paradigm before. They knew what the Christians was talking about, what the Hebrew Israelites was talking about. We've heard Dr. Ben Yakinen give us the West African breakdown, and Kemetic teachings was all over the place. We even had dropping down evolution. And can you imagine that evolution, if you got to credit a doctrine to the white man, you have to credit evolution to the white man. That doctrine, 150 years old, and comes directly from the white man. And it's almost like a magic spell, because for millennium before this doctrine was presented, the teachings of the Bible was widely accepted. But what that means, the secular world has to accept biblical doctrine in any form. If they have to accept one line, here's something that evolution, the white man's doctrine, does not explain. This is why you know that the white doctrine is flawed. Every individual accepts and understands the basics of good and evil. And we can all agree on a few things that's good. All agree. And we can agree on a few things that are evil. We might not agree on everything we think is good and everything that we think is bad, but all we need to do is agree on one thing that is either good or that is bad. And if we can all agree, that's called an objective view, meaning that it is always so. And the thing about the Bible is objective. What is the opposite of objective? The opposite of objective is subjective. What we mean by subjective. What we saying is that what something can be to one person can differ with another person. So there's no way of determining if it is indeed true, because two different people have different views, and thus it becomes subjective. So let's get to an objective fact. I do believe around the world, harming a very small child is evil. It's just evil. Everyone pretends to protect children by nature. They just do it. It just seems right. And so we can all agree that harming a child is pretty much an objective view, that that's evil. And if we all agree that that's evil, then by what measure do we measure that as evil? Who set that standard? Can evolution set the standard? Evil? Did we evolve evil? Did we evolve good? Or was it always bad? Or was it always good? This is the question. This is the question. Hey, you trying to give me some likes, huh? Bro, this channel is hit. This channel is so shadow banned. I got about 500 people blocked on this channel. This channel pretty much trash. I just come on it for fun. If you want to subscribe, that's fine. So here we go with there is a spirit that somehow is. Let's pick out a few things evolution doesn't explain. Evolution can explain, is love real? Does love exist? Are we making up love the way you feel when you have a child, or the way you feel when you get your first piece of the good stuff, or when you get in your first relationship, or when your mother give you a hug, or your father pat you on the back? Is that actual emotion real, or is this made up, or is this just a chemical reaction in your brain and you have no control over it? Well, the fact is, everybody don't always feel love, accept love, can't comprehend love. They've been abused and their heart turned cold, and now they no longer can receive love. And we can identify these people. We call them murderers and killers, crazy and all types of shit. And they walk around and they express it. And they become violent and enraged. And we can look in their eyes and we can say, something's wrong with this person. He's troubled, right? Will Smith smacked the shit out of Chris Rock. And when he went back and took his seat and blurted out, keep my wife name out your mouth. Women, for a second, started to cheer for that. Looking at it from a deprived perspective, that's a man taking up for his wife. And so when I went on my Facebook, in the very early segment, black women was cheering this on, right? Because women tend to be very emotional, and their first reaction tends to go lean in on emotions. But as time set in and we learned that Chris Rock kept the police from arresting him, and the police was on standby like, yo, we'll lock this nigga up. And then we didn't see the lawsuit appear the following day. We ain't heard about the lawyers to come in and hit him over the head for $100 million lawsuit. And then we look back at the tape again. And instead of women looking like Will Smith is protecting his woman, they started to realize that Will Smith was having a breakdown, a mental breakdown. And what we really heard was abuse. The only way Will knew how to say it. So then we had to say, well, damn, if Will is being abused, then the abuse logically is coming from his wife. Now, when you go into what she into, she took Will into Scientology. Will went down to the Scientology building and got cleared by Ron L. paradigm. And then after he got that Ron L. Hubbard paradigm put in him, now we got to look at who is Ron L. Hubbard. And we find out that Ron L. Hubbard was in the witchcraft and an editor of a satanic organization and a writer named Aleister Crowley. And then we go find out who Aleister Crowley is. And we realize that Aleister was inspired by the Kemetics. And he flew to Kemet, where he went to a museum and he seen a particular stone. And it just so happened to be laid in the museum as item number 666. And then he studied it, stayed out there in Kemet for a minute, and was inspired by the information that he then came home and wrote a book called the Book of the Law. Now, if you followed Digital Pitball, you would certainly understand I went in depth on Aleister Crowley. But see, when I talk about somebody, I don't just open up the book and just read a few verses out of the Book of the Law. That wouldn't be deep enough. I need to connect Aleister Crowley to Will, Jada, and Chris Rock slap. I need to drive the point all the way home because the crowd I'm speaking to is not thoroughly studied. Will sold his complete soul for her, and his personal hell is of his own making. I feel so compassion for him. See what I'm saying? You want to have compassion because he's black. That's it. You only want to have compassion for Will because he black. This is how the devil plays you. He gonna bring something in front of you that make you soft. You should never have compassion for a demon. If you give yourself over to the dark side, I'm at home sharpening my sword. I want to find you on the battlefield and execute you and remove you from the... I have no pity for you. The only time I'm going to have pity for you is if you was presented the light and denied it. I'm going to have a small portion. Don't you know right now, Will is somewhere on an island, on a boat, in some fancy ass yacht, sipping on something good, eating the best, eating catering, food, everything money could buy to make him feel better. He doing that right now, and you at home trying to figure out if the gas prices is coming down 10 cents because you can't stand it. And you got compassion for a nigga who on a yacht boat that just looked in his bank account and his bread got bigger. Even though they canceling shows left and right, they still gotta pay him. It's in his contract. He did the work, you gotta pay me. And here you are, I'm not saying you're broke, but you know that motherfucking gas is working on that pocket. You know that gas at the pump is taken away from an extra blunt you could have bought or whatever your vices are. But you done rationalize yourself to buy into Hollywood. See, if Hollywood was all like it used to be, you would then be able to see what it is. But because times have changed and they have replaced the character with more likable characters, you no longer can see what it is. This ain't entertainment you watching. This is magic. Hollywood is magic. All in and all out. This is why the rappers they're what Hollywood has. They're the new pimp. They're the new gang. The rappers. A young kid, if he want to be rich and successful, he can't look at his parents. His parents make $150,000 a year a piece. Poor. They ain't got no money. His daddy don't own a platinum chain. His daddy ain't got no Bentley. They're what you call middle class. If he want to look for rich and successful, the only thing he can identify with is a rapper. That's it. That's all he can see. And what information, after you viewed in on rapper, does he have to offer you? Well, in the realm of spirituality, he got only death to offer you. He can only tell you that if you hustling, hustle until you make it. Here's some small shit like, look, nigga, if you out there hustling, take your money and invest in stocks. He ain't gonna tell you, look, stop paying attention to me and get your spirit together, because what drives you is your spirit. He ain't gonna tell you that, because that kind of information don't live in darkness. He can only tell you how to get money, because that's what Hollywood is selling. Money. The love of it. He can't give you no money. As many millions as he got, he can't give none to you, because giving does not live in darkness. He can only get you some money. I can get you some money, but I can't give you none. None. You can't get a dollar out of me. Yeah, now y'all yelling at Druid. I got you. You learning? I could sit here and do a whole show about druidry in Hollywood and crack open all these books and show you the conscious community in Hollywood before the conscious community. I already actually did it on my channel, but because there are no channels like mine, and I was blasting the whole goddamn conscious community, they know what it felt like. And what they dreaded was to see Pit Boss become the #1 channel. Because what would that mean for them if Pit Boss channel was the most watched channel and everybody jumped on the bandwagon I was pushing? What would that mean for them? Pure destruction. Because they would either have to convert to kick information the way Pit Boss dropping it and destroy the paradigm they've been working so hard to uphold. They don't want to do that. So back to this story. I then decided to venture off into another conscious community channel. And I stumbled up on Nimrod the Master Builder. An old school YouTube conscious community dude named Lex Vortex. Now everybody on follow my channel is very familiar with Lex Vortex. Because Lex Vortex did a lot of Pit Boss shows during his career. Because I was a force to be reckoned with. I was a force to be reckoned with. And he didn't win that battle either. You must be talking about the Sinetta Effect channel. Somebody writes, you got me about to search for the vid with you and Sinetta, Polite, and Lex. I don't know if Lex was involved in that channel. He wasn't a big enough target for me to put him in my Sinetta Effect video. But I want, since you brought that up, or since that came to mind, I want you to understand why I named that show the Sinetta Effect, right? You know, of course, I took the name from the Butterfly Effect, a movie called The Butterfly Effect. Mind you, 50 more channels made an effect video title after I did that. That's how I smashed the conscious community. That was my great moment, right? But I went so goddamn hard that I got no responses. I was the Harold Cruz. I was the Harold Cruz of my time. Yeah, you right. It could have been Suge. It certainly wasn't me. I wouldn't have gave Lex Vortex that kind of props. He wasn't really an effective YouTuber. He was just a YouTuber who was early on and part of the community. But he couldn't, you know, he was riding Sinetta's dick at the time. Nobody wanted to go up against Sinetta but me. That was it. It was me and me alone. So if you're out here banging on Sinetta, you one of my children YouTube channels I invented. Because y'all was afraid until I wounded Sinetta. Not even young Pharaoh would go at Sinetta until I first wounded the bear. They was too afraid. He was too big. He was too strong. And they will. But once they seen me wound him and they seen Sinetta limping, they all got courage and they all jumped in. But they wouldn't help me fight while I was fighting. They waited till I ceased my fight before they would begin. That's just some real history. That's just some real history. But I named the show the Sinetta Effect because of what energy Sinetta was sending throughout the YouTube channels. And to this day, that energy still exists. And how he had collectivized esoteric knowledge in black community, formed in all types of names. All types of names. No matter which way you coming as a black person in America, the conscious community got a channel for you to assimilate to something that you might like. And you gonna go over there and they gonna prop you up so that you would never look for the light. Because as long as you happy and content with the condemnation that you're in, and you don't even realize that you're destroying yourself, you won't look for the light. So they got it for you. Currently, it's popular to push voodoo, homosexuality, all types of shit that has been very well known as satanic doctrine. Very well known. But satanic doctrine didn't have a stage strong enough to poke its head out so boldly. And so it lived in what we call esoteric circles. And now those esoteric circles have took center stage. And you could actually make a career pushing the esoteric knowledge. And then because you're being successful because of how many people are losers, it's more losers than there are winners. And if you propagate to the losers, there's a lot of losers out there who would love to join up with your losing team and push that information. See, when you push the line I was pushing, you already know that you're not about to go talk to a favorable crowd. I never go on a channel where it's favorable to me. That defeat my purpose. If somebody already flowing with what I'm talking about, I'm not needed over there. I'm needed where they hate what I'm talking about. Because it's always someone in the shadows who haven't picked a position. And I'm really over there just so I can get a message out to them. And the worst thing is when people think they can comment in an intellectual way the information I'm presenting, when they themselves have no information they can present. They can only scrutinize what I'm doing. But if I say, well, if I'm wrong, then you're able to tell I'm wrong, then you should be able to counter that with what's right. And as soon as you had them the microphone, they freeze up like a deer in the headlights. They realize that this really ain't that easy. Because you do it often, you make it look easy, and you make me believe I can get on here and do it. Until you got to do it. Until you got to be challenged on your perspective. See, when I was show this Jude of Nazareth, I come back to the Nimrod, the master builder in a moment, because what I went over there and did is way different. But while I was on the Jude of Nazareth show, brother opening up the dialogue and allowing me to direct the conversation so that we could get something really intelligent out the show. He really wanted to go to class. So he admitted, well, I really don't know nothing about preterism, so let me ask you some questions. But he not going to ask a question and let me teach. He has the rhythm focused on what he believes so he don't lose no followers and subscribers. So he asked me a lot of silly questions. Questions that just really is so basic, but they're going to be very difficult for him to understand because of his level of study. Like this fool went to Daniel 2 on me and read the prophecy from Daniel and concluded that he could see greatness in America in the book of Daniel. Like, what? Really though? You mean to tell me you seen America But you couldn't see the Maccabean Wars in Daniel. You couldn't see the Maccabean Wars, but you could see America. You could see Rome. You could see Rome. You could see Greece. But you couldn't see Islam. You could see Russia. You could see Russia. But you could, and I guess they could see the American slave trade too. If the way to Deuteronomy, they could see the American slave trade. They couldn't see the Islamic slave trade. I haven't heard one of them yet see that. But I guess they don't see it because they don't consider the Hebrew Israelites or the Israelites affected by the Islamic slave trade. Called going dark. When you have to do armchair gymnastics to make the Bible fit your paradigm so that you can sound to imbeciles, people who are already hurting when they get to you. You want to abuse them more by confusing them more and confusing yourself even greater, to where he really just spent all his time fighting with YouTube channels because his personal content is relevant to himself and everybody over there with him. If all he did was come on and teach his Israelite doctrine from the Torah, that would be the most weak, boringest channel in the world, because you would be talking about a group of people and that has no relevance or connection to life in the modern day. It just wouldn't be no way you could make us feel like this book is talking about people in America, because it's so relevant that it's talking about people of that time and what they're going through and what they're suffering. And you could say, see, they suffered it, so we're going to suffer it too. But armchair gymnastics is necessary in order to fool your audience into even deciding that they want to view more than one of your shows. You got to really be comical. If you go listen in on some of my old shows, especially if you go click on like a Booker T show, and I start digging in the crates, reading through some ancestor writings that we call American slavery. Oh, I'm about to get into all types of information. And one thing I got going for me is I can connect all these heroes and the life they lived to the same paradigm I'm pushing. So let me add in Nimrod, the Master Builder YouTube channel. This is Lex Vortex. This is his new name. He's switching it up. First thing he said to me is, oh, you came back, Pitt Boss, and you still a preterist? I thought that was kind of strange. Like, well, damn. You mean to tell me you was on YouTube and you switched up your doctrine because one day you woke up and realized that you debunked yourself? So now you got to correct yourself. And then you picked another debunko ass paradigm. Now you gonna push Nimrod. And he's pushing a rap battle channel. Conscious rap battles. He want to be the URL of the conscious community. And his YouTube teammate, he was doing debate, the debate league. He got the rap battle league, and his YouTube partner got the debate league. Both these niggas is dark spirit. And when I say dark spirit, I'm talking about sad on the inside, horrible in the inside, disgust inside. That's what make you dark, when you disgust yourself, thinking about yourself. Whenever you think about yourself, you're disgusted. And the only way to be happy is to find somebody else that could be miserable with you. That makes you happy for a moment, that you could take somebody else and make them as miserable as you. Then you're happy. But that happy don't last long because it just makes you more miserable because they're making miserable and they're miserable. And so the only way to get happy again is to find somebody new and make them miserable as you. Until it's just a room full of you, until it's a whole goddamn YouTube channel full of y'all miserable. And then y'all coach each other. And then you say, you know what? If we dress alike, it'll make me feel better. So y'all go buy t-shirts and print the same name on the t-shirt, show up in the community looking alike. And since y'all all miserable, y'all feel better because y'all look alike. But then that don't last long. Misery loves company. Misery loves company. So I'm over here on Black Vortex new channel, Nimrod the Master Builder. And I decided to throw a pair of eyes in the room and let these niggas know I'm watching. I'm watching. And when he finally recognizes the room and see that digital Pitt boss, he damn near stopped the show. They was ready to end the show. God damn it, we got digital. But why is he calling me out? Because of the digital Pitt boss effect. See, we all have an effect. And my effect goes like this. I shook their ass up so hard that I could go away for 2 years and reappear in your chat room and control your show from my chair. From the chat room, I'll control your show. I ain't even gonna say nothing. Because what's really talking is all the shows I did in the past. Every time I went live, it's running through your head, and it's so much information. You can't even remember what I said. You just know that goddamn Pit boss was vicious. That's what you remember. That's what you remember. So I seen he wanted me to come on the panel, so he threw the link out. Why you ain't jump on the show, Pit boss? All right, let me hit the link. Boom, I hit the link. I'm on the show. But instead of giving her a dime, I said, I'm going to just give you some game. So I went in to explain how this new YouTube conscious community is trash. We'll say the last official member of the first round was Young Pharaoh. He was the last guy to kind of sit on that seat on Sinetity and blow up off the Sinetta platform and then go out there into YouTube space beyond the conscious community. Young Pharaoh did that, right? Because the world of America is already satanic. Hollywood is satanic to begin with. So if you in the satanic conscious community and you could become viral over there, well, the arms are welcoming you into the satanic secular world. They're ready to accept you because you've proven that you know you're interesting. So it should be to make that transition if you blow up in the conscious community off of being satanic. And so off they go. Umar went out there, ended up getting shamed because he was fucking a stripper. Blight went out there, ended up getting shamed because he was fucking a minor. Young Pharaoh went out there, ended up getting shamed because he want to be a gangbanger. He probably got a lot of shit he did too. Now, do you see something in common with the conscious community? That they tend to fall victim in the realm of sex? Something dealing with sex and scamming is always they downfall. The only thing with scamming is people tend to forget about that a little more easier than they sex scandals. I don't know what it is about sex scandals, but That's one of the things that the satanic secular world love to bring you down for. When they crucify their own, their target is sex scandals. They find y'all super weak in that department when it comes to sex. They're ready to condemn you quickly. So I'm over here checking Lex Vortex followers over here. And it's a couple of new tubers on the panel. One of the guys, his name is JJ7000, right? Now, he don't know who I am, but because I'm watching, I know who he is. I done seen him his first day coming on Sonetta. Then you hear Sonetta, JJ7. When you hear Sonetta calling out a lame-ass YouTuber, I hate to say it like that, JJ. It ain't nothing, if you're watching. It's just that you wasn't doing shit on YouTube at this particular moment, right? You didn't have a paradigm and a mission. The whole mission was to get notoriety in any fashion and form on this thing, on this YouTube thing. And the conscious community is the back door to the secular community. The same way Israel Doctrine's channel was the back door to the conscious community. So there are back doors to back doors. Let's say you want to get famous in the country and you don't know how to get started at all. Well, you could come through the back door Israel Doctrine's channel. And then if you come on Israel Doctrine's channel, all you got to do is turn on Israel Doctrine and go over to Sonetta's channel. And then after you get popular on Sonetta's channel, just turn on Sonetta and go to Vlad TV. And then when you get to Vlad TV, you will be so big that you might can go over to Jesse Lee Peterson. And after you do Jesse Lee Peter, you might be able to go sit down with Charles White. And then after you do Charles White, you might can go over to Kwame Brown. And after you do Kwame Brown, you could go over to Tommy Sotomayor. And then after you do their shows, you might be able to sit down on No Jumper. And for you look around, you're getting $5,000 an appearance. And you starting to get movie deals, book signings, special engagement t-shirts. And all of a sudden, you done turned a backdoor Israel Doctrine show into a multi-million-dollar business. Pushing dumb shit all the way through. And you really didn't even understand what you was doing way back when you came on Israel the show. See, y'all don't come into this YouTube shit with a legacy already behind you. You come into YouTube as a nothing ass nigga, doing nothing, saying got nothing, about nothing, hoping to turn YouTube into something. That's how y'all niggas come in. This would make y'all trash. That you not really real, you really not about that life that you claiming on YouTube. If I'm wrong, show us what you're doing before you came to YouTube. I was watching Charles White. And he said, yo, before this YouTube shit, I was helping the kids. I was doing this, giving out shoe drives and all this bullshit. I was doing that. Then I came over to YouTube because wasn't shit working for me after all of shit still wasn't working. And found a home on YouTube. Caught some attention and reactivated all my shit. Now he's a YouTuber. Getting it in. Getting it in. So, because the OGs of the conscious community know what the fuck they were doing when they was first coming in the game, they don't have a fucking clue what to tell you new tubers what to do, how to build this shit. Y'all still haven't realized that You built a bullshit, fictitious, low-level Hollywood for the new tubers. The conscious community is like a ghetto-ass, low-level-ass, broke-ass Hollywood. It's like a broke-ass Hollywood. But it has an audience. And if you understood how to structure that shit, and the reason why you'll never know how to structure it is because y'all have let Sinetta lead it. And Sinetta is doing what he came to do, destroy your mind and take you out of the economic system for the long run and convert you over to a dark heart. And so when you niggas tell me that you are Israelite, but you don't follow Jesus, you can't be an Israelite. When you tell me you a Hebrew Israelite, you can't be a Hebrew Israelite. And if you a Kemetic, that's all I can say is, because you know, the Kemetic system is a pure conscious community fictition started by Dr. Ben Yakinen. But Ben Yakinen got the spirit from Aleister Crowley. Y'all have yet to accept the fact that Aleister Crowley got more Kemetic information than any of y'all. And he got his shit documented. Y'all cannot fuck with the Book of the Law. The Book of the Law, fully Kemetic. Fully Kemetic. Spells and all, mixed with that druidry. He mixed that shit with some druidry. But the druids, well, they're children's in spiritual systems anyway. They just went off in the woods and, kind of threw out a variation of the system. Anyway, so this is just a repeat. This is why when you go watch Hollywood or you go see their emblems, the lies, the Kemetic order of the Golden Dawn or the Hermetic order of the Golden Dawn. What is the Hermetic? What is that word? Why is that word relevant? The Hermetic people? Can that be Canaanite worshiping? Can we link the Canaanites to Kemet at all? Can we say that Ham is the father of Kemet? Is it possible? Of course it's possible. We can tell by the spiritual system connected to it. We can tell the origin. And this is why in Hollywood, way back at the turn of the 19th century or the 20th century, early on, 1890, Aleister Crowley and them comes on the scene with some high scientific socialists, some real Satanists, really in the midst of laying down a foundation, coming over from Germany, coming with this scientific socialism. I debated scientific socialists coming into the conscious community. He was on Lake Vortex channel when I went over there yesterday. Every time he see me, he want to jump on the panel because he want to attach himself to me. And I told him when we was on the panel, nigga, you didn't do what I did in the conscious community. I came in the game debating you on Israel Doctrines channel. We spent 4 hours debating. I beat your ass up over there, and then we ain't never heard of you again. Nobody knows your name on no channels where you go, except them lame ass satanic niggas, and they ain't even propped you up to this day. You ain't on Sinetta, you ain't banged on nothing, you ain't did shit but try to get shine in my light. But as for me, ooh, on the smash, nigga, smash like smithereens around this bitch. And he just sat there. He didn't even get a word out. I talk so strong. Because, see, I'm not coming back to YouTube to push preterism on you. I got videos archived if you need that. Go watch those videos. I'm not coming on here to push Booker T on you. I archived that. Go watch that if you need that. At this point in time, I'm coming on here to give you some head-checking bullshit business on YouTube. Because y'all taking away what YouTube can be. How YouTube is an industry. Y'all blinding yourselves and other understanding. They gave you the power to create a ghetto-ass YouTube. And instead of making it Hollywood, you made it the hood. And just like when I was young, we was breaking the law to get the hood. Y'all on here breaking the YouTube law to create the hood. And so that's all y'all been able to turn the conscious community into is a ghetto. Because you need niggas in order to create a ghetto. You can't have no ghetto and you ain't got no niggas. Ain't that a bitch? Ooh-wee. See, let me show you something. What you need to focus on. The spiritual aspect of your interests, you got to work on that in yourself the most. And then when you appear in public, you got to have your intellectual property in order. When you come on this YouTube shit. And we will be able to tell by your spirit who you are and what you are. Like we can look at Will Smith and say, how can you be worth $100 million, $200 million, $300 million and be so broken? I mean, you acting worse than a broke nigga in the hood, lashing out because he ain't got a dime. Niggas in the hood act up, get broke. They go crazy. And nigga in the hood with the money, he laid back. He chilling. He ain't got that economic pressure on him. So whipping out over economic pressure, but he acting up. Because what happens to you in Hollywood is they steal your joy. And your joy is the identification of God. If there is no God, there can be no joy. There can be nothing good. There can be nothing evil. That would be a figment of your subjective imagination. That's what that would be. But I doubt any of you want to do a YouTube that joy doesn't exist. That love doesn't really exist. Love is the fact that God is real. Fact that you identify something as love or something as beautiful. If you say, oh, I was riding down the street yesterday and the sun started setting and it was a bright golden orange and the weather was calm and the trees was beautiful. If you see that as beautiful, that is a figment of your subjective reactions in your head. There is no thing called beauty if there is no God. Why do I say this? Because the white man's evolutionary doctrine has concluded that you are God. You are the creator of all things, subjectively, not objectively, but according to you. What you say is beautiful is beautiful. What you say is evil is evil. What you say is good is good. And what does that mean for society? That means we cannot build a civilization based on your subjective imagination. This is why God is necessary to build civilization. There must be a standard of good and evil. Somebody has to set the record. What's good and what is evil. And we'll build off that. And if you don't have God, then all you got is the white man's evolution to set that. And if you allow the white man to make you believe in evolution, then you have to get rid of God. And as soon as you get rid of God, you got to replace God with your God. Because somebody got to be the authority. But the problem with you being God is when you're dead, then all your subjective reality dies with you. And what we need good to be, we need to be good all the time. Before you were born, while you lived, and after you died. Good has to be good, and evil has to be evil at all times. It can never change. And it has to be that way all around the planet, everywhere, to everybody and everything. Oh, I would love to blow their back out with some real information to a group of people who desired real information. But the conscious community is in such a parallel descent, falling fast, that they're not looking for real, they're looking for entertainment. Because prior to Hollywood, they say right now, Hollywood is no longer the cool crowd. They're a bunch of puppets for the Democrat Party. And it's obvious who they pushing. They represent satanic socialism in the form of the Democrat Party, that they're no cool. Everybody is fake, they say. When you go to Hollywood, you got to be fake. You can't be your real self. Your real self might not identify with this. And as soon as they see you don't identify with this, your ass is out of here. So you don't want to expose how you really feel about a goddamn thing in Hollywood. You want to go along to get along. Because that's where the check is at. I see y'all in desperate need for me to come back and reiterate what I call black satanic doctrine in the conscious community. Y'all need me to redo the comedic Kool-Aid. I got a video called the comedic Kool-Aid. If you're not familiar with my older videos, you might want to scroll through my list one day. I don't open up all my videos. I purposely got a lot of shit locked up. In my head, I'm going to unlock it one day. I'm going to do something with it one day when the time is right. When the moment sways my way. I'm going to take that shit and I'm going to get to it. And y'all going to be like, damn, he's like a prophet. That's how y'all going to feel when I let y'all see the little clips. Oh, I'm going to give it back to you in clips too. And so, that's how I'm doing it. I don't know when the time gonna come. I'm gonna know when the energy is right. When the energy tell me, hey, it's time to crack open your shit. It's time to bring that shit back. You gonna be the star right now. You the only one with the real shit. And the difference between me and those YouTube channels is they never talked about the subject matters I talked about. They don't have this shit in their category. See, you could go back and get an Amos Wilson video today, and he sound like trash. Pushing that comedic bullshit on us. He ain't pushing God. He pushing that you God. You can go get a Dr. Ben. I heard him talking about Dr. Ben one day, and it's like, boy, they hate to call Dr. Ben trash. But god damn, if you really go and slowly read a Dr. Ben book, it's full of bullshit. Because we done expose so much of this shit that all their heroes is dead. They can't talk about none of the heroes. So all they can do is talk about a different continent where you don't have no relevant ancestors laying down nothing that you can identify with. You can't identify with Shaka Zulu. You don't know one word of his language. Talking about you identify. You know you come from that. You know you look like these people. But you could identify with that African American history because it was recent. It wasn't long ago. It was a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of shit up against circumstances that you currently deal with. The problem is, who was pushing Black Lives Matter ideology 100 years ago? Who would be similar to the Black Lives Matter? Well, when you go look, it would have been W.E.B. Du Bois in 1920. It would have been Martin Luther King and the Black Panthers in the 60s. It would have been the Freedom Ways paper in the 40s. It would be the conscious community in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And Black Lives Matter is the current extension of the conscious community on a secular level, bigger than the conscious community, bigger than, on a public level. And I'm sure y'all have heard one of the girls, Patrice Cullors. She grew up in Van Nuys, California, where I'm from. Parents worked at General Motors. I had lots of friends worked at that motor company growing up. And she was a fat girl. And you know, fat girls just tend to go to school because boys are not interested in them, so they got to find some way to, you know, keep themselves busy, and they go to school. And when she went to school, she got around some gay girls because, you know, fat girls, sometimes guys don't like them, and a girl starts showing them attention. It just so happened the gay girls she was around were Marxists. And they introduced her to Marxism, which is highly taught in school. If all you was going to do is get a school education, you probably going to be a Marxist. And you're not even going to know you're a Marxist. You just seem that certain things just seem right to you. And you're going to run around pushing Marxism and don't even know it. And then when you try to connect back with your roots, the only thing you can identify with is the black fist. Because that seemed like black, but it's just called a black fist. That's not black. And when you yell out black power, you repeating the chants of the Marxist group before you. The Black Panthers. Pure Marxists. They wasn't afraid to tell you they was Marxists. And she wasn't afraid to tell a YouTube channel that she was a Marxist. The Republicans ran with that so cold. Glenn Beck was on his channel covering it. Patrice Cullors is a Marxist in her own words. And he exploited that. So much so that they went and took all that Marxist shit off their website. Destroy the nuclear family. They had that on a Black Lives Matter website to destroy the man, woman, and child. That's what the nuclear family is. That's called the production of life. Destroy that. Why? Why destroy the nuclear family? because they are going after freedom. A strong family protects freedom. A weak family surrenders freedom. They ain't going after because you black, because you white. That ain't what it's about. That's not what it's about at all. It's about government control over economics. And what holds economics and gives the power to the people? A strong spiritual community that values morality. Without morality, you'll let freedom go. But who sets the standard for what is moral? We back to the God thing. This is why they push secular concepts so hard. Because as long as they can keep the idea of who sets the standard for morality, you'll have to give the standard to the government. And if the government can get control of what morality is, then they'll create transgender as morality. They'll create bathrooms for men and women. They'll allow you to identify yourself as a cucumber if you want to, and it be respected in the courts. They'll let men join women's sports and kick y'all ass because they are creating morality. And it'll drive you crazy and make you fold and surrender to the chaos. They want to create chaos so that you beg the government to come in and solve the chaos. They create the problem so that you can come to them for answers. And then the answers that they give you will be more problems. And in 100 years, you just got a headache. You can't get rid of the problems. See, I can't tune in to one of these channels and just get some real conversation. I get their paradigm. So while I was on the Master Nimrod channel and the JJ 7000 guy came on, not knowing who he talking to, thinking I'm gonna agree with dumb shit, not knowing how controversial I am, he said some dumb shit. He invited me to come and listen to his show that he was about to go live with, where he was inviting a group of Moorish nationalists to his channel. And he told me, he was trying to unify. Now, see, that's a Marxist term. Unify. I never push unity of all these paradigms. I said, what's only going to work for you is for you to go link up with like-minded people. Do not try to unify with people who think opposite of you, no matter what you think. If you believe we descend from apes, you better go link up with some evolutionists, because they'll make you feel good. Misery loves company. But if you think you can go unify with a group of people who have an opposite of what they want to accomplish, they simply going to destroy you, or attempt to, or you're going to eventually attempt to destroy them once you realize they're not going to change. This is why unifying is not the solution. That's not what Christianity does. That's why I picked Christianity, because it's not trying to unify. Christianity dominates, and conforms, proselytizes. And if you don't want it, it don't force you. It go away. Only away from your presence. And leaves you in the dark. I have read about Christianity in Asia, Christianity in Africa, Christianity in Australia, Christianity in Mexico, Christianity all over the planet. And it's always smashing against satanic organizations wherever it's at. It's always on the front line doing the righteous deed. Never have I ever read about none of the other paradigms in history smashing on anything. So I went over to the JJ 7000 show and chimed in. After I gave him that long lecture about developing a YouTube channel that in 5 years from now, you got a lock on what the fuck is really going on online. He don't understand though, because he's pre-programmed by the Sinetta effect, and he don't realize that he's caught in darkness. He can't see it. So I'm seeing his channel, and he bring on this impressive looking Moorish nationalists. That's the best word I can give them. They got on their little uniforms. 4 or 5 elders come on the show. And they go through this diatribe of lies. Anytime a black man is using Allah as the name of God, all you need to know is he's pushing the moon God. Right? So when you see the Circle 7 Quran, they letting you know they worship the moon. See, one of the establishers of these satanic orders, it must be written in their doctrine that they must push in the form of symbols their doctrine, in the form of symbols. They can't hide it. So all of the satanic cults always show you through their logo, through their symbols, who they worship. And if you only understood the logo of the Circle 7 Quran, just that name in its 7 in a circle is satanic. Quran is satanic. And so they appear non-offensive at first. And they sitting there going through their diatribe. Oh, we want to thank you for welcoming us to your platform. And we want to present, unification. The JJ 7000, I guess he kind of accepted that he was a Christian, and as well to be more unified. He's an Israelite, and to me, he's a dumb nigga that thought that talking about the Bible in the conscious community was better than whatever the fuck he was doing prior to. But somebody who woke, that word woke, that's a Marxist word. Isn't it funny that they call gay people woke? That gay people consider themselves woke, and woke was a term in the conscious community as well, and it meant the same damn thing. That they have come into their consciousness that they're God. Gay people, they can't rock with the Bible because the Bible specifically condemns their activity. Even though it's a lot of gay people who realize their only salvation is the Bible, and they try not to veer too far off. So they still acknowledge the Bible, but they try to read the Bible in some kind of way that even though they're gay, God still loves them. It's amazing to watch darkness open its mouth. It's crazy. But at the same time, Antifa was woke. The Democrats are woke. And what's the opposite of woke? Sleep. And who's sleep? On where the Christians are asleep. You mean to tell me from the Amarah squad ain't sleep? Sonetta ain't sleep? Them niggas is not sleep, but the Christians is sleep? Damn. This is interesting. If you got an entire corporation of churches spread out through an entire civilization in every city formed, you're asleep. The Bible says, the meek shall inherit the earth. What does that mean? You might ask. What does that mean? What is the meek? Let's break down the meek. The meek is a soldier with high skills to use his sword to kill, but keeps his sword in its sheath. I heard Jordan Peterson recently converted to the power of God break it down. I already got it broke down on my YouTube channel long before Jordan Peterson showed up to YouTube. So I didn't take my education from Jordan Peterson on this one. I just observed him come to the understanding. But he so eloquently broke it down, I'm going to use him for this example. So if the meek are those in power so strong that they could attack you, but yet they don't. He called it a monster that learned how to control the monster. This is what a Christian is. A real one is a monster who has his monster in check, in control. That's what the meek is. The meek is an individual who's got a monster inside of him and able to keep his monster in check and control. What's the purpose? Becoming a monster is to go all the way out on the edge. And then when you get out there on the edge and you're the biggest monster you could ever be, you then value being humble and you keep your monster in check. That is the meek. That is those who will inherit the earth. Those who know how to control their monster. See, when you have a monster you can't control, you're going to slap the shit out of Chris Rock with it. You're going to do a drive-by shooting on the Crips. You're going to do a gang-banging video in the conscious community because you can't control your monster you've created. And we all create a monster. We just all can't keep our monster in check. Only the Bible teaches that. No other book. Not the Comedics, not the evolutionists, not the Buddhists teach that. That is a unique teaching of that gospel. Oh, it get deep. Who we got over here? Somebody. Hey, man, Yuta, do not, because I gave you that blue wrench, don't come in here deleting shit. Don't, you fuck my channel up. Just sit back, enjoy the goddamn show. I only gave y'all a blue wrench so I could recognize who I'm fucking with and who brand new. I can't even read the guy. Unblock this motherfucker's thing. Because I can't do it. Not from my phone. Don't make me add them as a moderator so you can't be fucking with them. Frank Gehry is their Aleister Crowley. Yeah, why did you delete their message? You deleted the message. Why in the fuck did you do that? I can't even read what the fuck he said. You over here controlling my shit. Sit your ass back and enjoy the goddamn show. I don't do none of that no more. I let all that shit ride. I don't give a fuck what they got to say. They can't hurt my feelings. This is what being a YouTube vet. I'm past, you can't hurt me over here. So if you watching my channel and you disagree with me, blast off. I ain't gonna stop you. Go nutball, because you know I'm the first to get deleted. Akbar and all that calm down. Yeah, let him run that. See, he's an example. This is when we see the rage pop out. See, like right now, if you go to YouTube or Facebook and you disagree with the LGBT movement, they won't allow you to disagree in public. You can't have a different opinion about what's being said. Don't you know that the people that's watching this show, reading those little comments in there, they're, one, they're being entertained by the shit. Two, they can tell that somebody's having a mental breakdown. We all seen Will Smith slap that dude and realize this nigga's having a mental breakdown. But they didn't block the nigga. They gave the nigga his award and let him do his speech, and we watched that nonsense play out. So, you know, let these niggas Allah Akbar it off. I'm not tripping. It's only gonna give me something to talk about. So, whoever that dude is, if you want to come back in and shout off, get busy. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. You is not going to affect what I'm talking about. There you go. Welcome to the show. Now get it off. I mean, be as honest as you could be in my chat. You know, just get to it. I mean, you know, because, you know, I got so many haters. They got 500 channels. You know, they come in here and some of them just do it because they know how, and they, you know, they just saying what they say for entertainment. But some actual YouTuber that just found his way over here and don't know what the fuck is going on, I can tell when they show up. Hell Shaitan and all that. There you go. Allah Akbar, Hell Shaitan. See, one, none of that is English. Allah ain't English. Akbar ain't English. Shaitan ain't English. And you know, how you gonna fake when I don't even know what you're saying? You want me speaking a different language real quick and cuss your mama out? You ain't gonna know I'm cussing her out. You're gonna be like, what you just say? I'll be, you don't speak niggaton? Call her hell strawberry click clack bait. She just strawberry click clack bait. And you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? That's English words used in double speak. Why you keep putting up the skeleton head? I'm dead. Does that mean I'm dead? So, YouTube has, well, this conscious community YouTube, they got some learning to do, this new group of fake ass YouTubers. Now, I just clicked in on a Sonetta video, and I'm assuming Tazariak debated your boy from the Black Panthers. And according to Sonetta, he won and Tazariak lost. But according to all the Hebrew Israelites, Tazariak won. But what's really going on What's really going on is Sinetta won, and the Black Panther nigga won, and Israel and Tazariak won, but the fucking audience lost. Why? Because Sinetta put their ass in the trick box and got you paying attention to trash information. See, if your information can't go beyond the conscious community, if you're not like Tazariak went on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, right? And Jesse Lee Peterson made that nigga get all out of character and allowed that nigga to embarrass himself on stage. I mean, embarrass himself to show his true colors of how ridiculous he is. But the thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he's in a conservative paradigm. He don't understand all the shit Tazariak really said on video. He ain't about to go research that bullshit. He don't want to blow his head up trying to watch Tazariak videos. He didn't really know exactly what to ask Tazariak. But he could get a gist of it just based, he kind of understand a little bit of Hebrew Israelite paradigm. And so Jesse Lee Peterson, his style is to just give you the rope and let you hang yourself. He just gonna ask you questions to, if you answer this question, you about to hang yourself if you don't say the right thing. Because, you know, Jesse Lee Peterson is pushing Christianity. But you didn't see no problem with Tazariak running over to a Christian channel, a conservative Christian channel. Why? Because he desired the limelight any way he can get it. Any way he can get it. And the bigger the stage, the more greedier his desire to push his bullshit. But after he did that Jesse Lee Peterson show, we didn't see his career continue to go. We just see the beginning of the end for you. The further you get away from Sinetta, the closer to the end you're getting to. If you want to remain alive, you better return to hell, which we call Sinetta TV, and live over there. House of Koki. It's all good. I'm not even tripping. Welcome back. See, YouTube is getting ready for me. I was like James Brown when I showed up. I was a little too early with all this heavy shit. But I kind of needed to do it because I needed to have my shit cemented where they understood I brought all this information. But society had not yet heard of Black Lives Matter. They still don't know who George Soros is. Y'all don't know if you on the side of Ukraine or if you on the side of Russia. Or are you with United States in the propaganda war? You really don't know. So since Hollywood can't convince you, they just redirected your attention to the Oscars. And y'all think this is the end. This is the end of Will Smith. This is not the end. This is the play. He act out. Then we'll take all your shit away from you. And we'll get the crowd feeling one way or another about you. And then you go sit down for about a year or two and just be quiet. And then we're going to put you in a movie. And you can start to win back your audience all over again. We'll put you in a small movie. But you'll be so good in the movie that you'll regain attention. And then we'll put you in a bigger movie. And in 10 years, you'll be back on top. It's kind of like we got to break you down and build you back up because there's no more heights to go to. We've taken you to the highest of heights and now you're boring. So we got to take you through the fire and re-purify you. But at the end of the day, all you watching is spells. They got you captured on spells. Busy Lee Peterson was exposed for being gay a couple of months ago. Jesse Lee Peterson is gay? Does that mean he conformed to Hollywood? Everybody got to play the gay role in Hollywood? Because he's an official Hollywood YouTube channel. He's well paid over there. We'll see how that work out for him. Because they going to take you through the ringer. Here or there. See, I always knew that the conscious community did not know how to play the YouTube game. This is why when I did my Sinetta effect video, instead of Sinetta just acknowledging that I got his ass on that one, instead of him saying, man, y'all fucked me up with that Israel Doctrine Revenge video, it was like, Sinetta, we competition. Can you do a video better than us? Because if you can, we can ping pong this ball back and forth till we got millions of dollars. He couldn't see it though, because his ego was hurt. This is what I was trying to explain to JJ 7000. Y'all niggas ain't able to affect Sinetta. I changed the entire platform of the conscious community. I made these niggas stop talking about motherfuckers, stop mentioning certain type of shit, and then switch these niggas up to an economic platform. None of these niggas was building economics into the program until I pulled up with that STEM program and said, fool, if you don't get your shit linked in with science, technology, engineering. I had Unc yelling that shit, Sonetta and them niggas. He had one dude on his platform that was trying to pull some economics, but these niggas was doing goofy shit. I'm talking about goofy shit. And then Garfield start selling the Z card. What happened to the black Z card? Why that nigga ain't pushing that black Z card? See, anytime you gotta change what you pushing, I mean, a 360 change, you know, every time we elevate, we find something better than what we got, but it's similar to what we got. But when you do a 360, it's because you know your bullshit has ran its course, and now you gotta fully switch your program up. And you got to come with something brand new, or you going to go extinct like the dinosaurs. So the conscious community revamped their whole flow. And before you looked around, they start coming with shoe stores and t-shirt websites. And I'm selling you what they got. Tazariak selling you niggas oil and lotions. They still ain't got no soap. They was mad because I hit them with the soap. And I wasn't even trying to sell it to you. I just wanted you to go open up a soap business. I didn't tell you to kind of go to my website and buy my soap. That never happened for you. Because I was teaching. I wasn't scamming. I was teaching. Building a nation out of this bullshit conscious community. I didn't have to come to y'all. I could have stayed where I was at and kept building where I was at. Because I was already building long before I came to YouTube. That's why I walked in YouTube editing videos and making logos and designs and flyers and product labels. I was doing all that shit before I got there. And when I got there and realized y'all wasn't doing it, I hit you niggas every day with that shit. That's what's so remarkable about the way I played it versus the way y'all coming in with zero skills. All you able to do is do an expose video. See, Yehuda, your entertainment spirit is caught up still. You desire YouTube entertainment. That's why you tuning in. And I kind of got you confused with another YouTuber named Joe Cool. I ended up calling him and realizing that that wasn't you. I thought you was him and he was you. And then I talked to him for 4-5 hours. And then I realized, well, I got to figure out who this Yehuda nigga is. But I ain't tripping. It ain't even necessary. I went over there and got with that crazy ass channel that I'm trying to figure out why is you over here? Why did you invite me to this weirdo ass channel where these niggas is Old Testament Hebrews and can't even comprehend what they reading? How is you so lined up with a nigga who read Daniel 2 and pull America out of Daniel 2, but don't identify with the gospel? And then tell a nigga that the gospel was written by some Greeks and Jesus and Zeus is the same thing. Like, nigga, what information is you reading? Not even the goddamn Romans thought that shit. Not even the Greeks thought that shit. Don't you realize that Zeus didn't create the Kemetic Christians that we call the Coptic Church? Why they couldn't create the Coptic church based on Zeus, since Zeus was already in the flow? Jesus come along and sends a prophet out there and they turn into a church. They dropped that Kemetic Kool-Aid and picked up the gospel. How that happened? If Christianity is so similar and drawn from everybody else shit, how come everybody else shit didn't continue in history? What happened? How come I ain't reading the 5th century Kemetics pushing that Kemetic information? How come the Greek philosophy died with the Greeks? And why did the Roman information die with the Romans? How come the gospel didn't die? Why did it stay smashing everywhere? This is real information. This is looking at history in a real way, acknowledging what you actually viewing. You can't find any of these niggas' paradigm 500 years ago. That don't exist. All that shit invented in New York City. The same place they make paste picante. That's why I call them niggas paste picante, because it's made in New York City. I mean, it's really so low class to tap into y'all conscious community channels. On YouTube, y'all niggas is the lowest bottom barrel shit out there. It's like I get more game out of Charleston White talking about the history of the nigga than I can get out of one of you Israelite niggas talking about the Bible or the Torah. It's like, nigga, you niggas ain't realistic in no kind of way. That's why these niggas come out on the street corner and provoke people's energy walking by with nonsense. And, you know, I see them niggas out here in Atlanta, but them niggas don't want to talk. And then they put their video cameras up and stand in front of their video cameras with nobody in front of them and start talking for 8 hours because they need the backdrop to look like they doing what they call street work. Like, nigga, standing on the street corner with a video camera, talking to a video camera ain't street work, nigga. That's YouTube. And you just want a live action behind you. This is what these niggas is doing, calling that shit street work. Like, you niggas is clowns and forever clowns. And you ain't gonna never go from being a cult, an obscure group of niggas. Always. Because your doctrine is flawed. It only take you back to Harlem. Your doctrine goes back to New York City, nigga, and dies there. It come from there, goes back there to die. You can't walk that shit nowhere past New York and identify with it anywhere. And as soon as it leave New York, this shit look like some hobo shit, some bum shit. It's all the way whack. It has zero history. It ain't got no leadership that's gonna ever be remembered. Not in history books. And this is why y'all go back to y'all estranged heroes. Like with the Moors and the Circle 7 Satanic Quran, the moon god of the Moorish Americans. Y'all take that history back and you die in 1920. And you ain't got no history before that. You don't show up 2,000 years before that doing nothing. Nowhere. Talking about nothing. Y'all trying to birth some new shit based on some old witchcraft. It ain't gonna work because you are a product of Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn put a plan in along with some German scientific socialists to create a socialist counterpart to Christianity and divide it into 100 pieces. And that became the conscious community in all its form. And then we watch it cuddle back together on Sinetta TV. Because for a long time, they was all separated. The Moors was over here, the Hebrew Israelites over there, the black atheists over there, the Comedics over here. And then that's when Sinetta said, you know what, we got to bring all this satanic shit to one hellhole. And Sinetta TV was born. But prior to Dr. Ben Yakadin, all that comedic shit was in music. They had a jazz musician named Sun Ra before Dr. Ben Yakadin. And he came out in his comedic outfits playing a jazz horn. That was the shock and awe. That was the way to introduce it first, through the music. And just get you used to the imagery. And then after you got used to the imagery, they sent you the doctrine in Joseph Ben Yakadin. And then Joseph Ben Yakadin, he smashed until finally Sarah Sutanseti was born. And Sarah Sutanseti took his ass to Sinetta, and there you met the comedic information. These niggas played you. You really pushing Aleister Crowley. It's white folks who brought you the comedic paradigm. And only white folks. Ain't no black folks brought you that shit. Not a one. All the black folks who did speak on it got it from some white folks who been pushing it. Just pull up Aleister Crowley, Egypt, and watch all the comedic outfits he got on. That nigga got on shit polite ain't war. That's what it is. He say somebody had to take you out of your bubble for a spin in YouTube streets of whackness. Yeah, just for a quick minute, you know. I periodically will do this just to kind of, you know, prepare y'all. But I'm not going to go full throttle. I'm not going to sit on my computer and start pulling up websites and playing videos and audios, because that would mean I have to go study these niggas again. And hell nah, I don't need that much activity in my brain. I don't want to study these niggas. Back then, I watched all they shit all the time. If they said anything, I knew about it. And if I wasn't listening, some follower of mine was sending it to me so I could be well abreast. But if you want to, play in these YouTube streets, you got to pay attention to all the other YouTube channels. I ain't got that much time. My little dip, dab, and dive into this shit, I ain't got to watch but 5 minutes of your show and I'm gone. I ain't got all day to be listening to that shit. That shit ain't going to build you nothing. That shit ain't going to enlighten you. Maybe if you was just trying to figure out some books you want to buy, there's a couple of people channels that might chime in and show a book they got. Rob Bourne love to talk about a lot of books. You can go watch a Rob Bourne video and get you some book names and go out and buy some books. But the thing with them, see what Rob Bourne is doing is he's going back to that 17th, 18th, and 19th century America. And the conversation of the history of the Negro is starting to come to the surface to be dealt with. And when you get there, you're walking in the Pitt boss paradigm. Because, see, I took the Negro all the way back to the it's called the let me say this right, the Tigra people on the Niger River, and then I walked it back to the Afri people of Northern Africa. The actual word Negro. It's got a history in African language. I ain't got time to break this down for you because when I did the study, it took me a few months of walking through information. Because, I'll be liking to have my paradigms bulletproof before I'm willing to go, argue this position on YouTube. That's why one thing about me is none of the information I brought, you're not going to find no YouTube channel call itself doing a exposition of information at all. That was never done, and nobody tried to challenge the information. They only succumb to it, and they start merging themselves into my information, trying to adopt the parts they like into their information. And now I created NBK. You remember them dumbass niggas, satanic niggas over there, tried to come with the Booker T shit, Sean P. I heard Sean P. and Unc fell out. That satanic shit is starting to crumble on them niggas. And Sean P. and all of them tried to run my paradigm. Because they understood that, man, he's in a segment of America history that's really about us. See that when you go talk that African shit, that might be about us, but not before this slavery shit. And so when you want to know what your ancestors, you got to go back to the 1800s and the 1900s to find out with somebody that was really connected to your family and what they laid down and what information he talked about. When you go read what they call the slave letters, you talk about people who really the foundation of what the fuck you doing here today. And then y'all come to find out that they just don't agree with you niggas. They talking Bible, you niggas talking Moorish American. They talking Bible, you niggas talking Hebrew Israelite. They talking Bible and you niggas talking black atheism. They talking Bible and your bitch ass talking evolution. Looking like a goofy. Can't produce what they did because you don't got the God they had, and thus you lack the criteria to be what they are. That's a cold one right there. You might want to replay the video just for that last sentence after I'm done. He says, I know it was just a good little treat to see all the haters get shook up. What actually happened over there after I left Uter? I mean, I bombed them a little bit. I set them up when I first put that comment under one of their videos And I gave them niggas gospel, but I didn't give them niggas chapter and verse. And I just simply told them, nigga, woe to you, teachers of the law and scribes and Pharisees, for you block out the kingdom of God and those trying to enter, to which you yourself won't enter. And you block people trying to come in. Woo, them niggas was hot right then and there. Them niggas was chiming in, and they don't understand. I'm just, I'm throwing bait in the water to catch me a catfish. So I pick his ass up and throw him in the hot boiling oil. And that's all that happened. He bit the bullet, and I was on the show. That fast, that quick, and these niggas didn't even know what just happened to them. They being schooled by an OG YouTuber who know how to do this shit. Stop playing. And for long, we 3 hours on this shit, and you niggas ain't no wiser. So then, after I left the channel, which I went back and looked at his numbers, and I see my little video kind of leap past some of his previous videos right before me, and he get a decent amount for the nonsense that he told. He get about 1,500 views for just really talking about not a goddamn thing. Like, I can't understand how 1,500 motherfuckers could sit through 10 hours of this shit. Like, what the fuck are you doing in your life that you spent 10 hours over here? And what did you get out of that? Had to be entertainment. Entertainment. Because them niggas ain't offering nothing else. He say, bro, all the stalkers of Judah, Nazareth, Sonetta, all of them have been going ape shit all week since your appearance. Oh, I get you. Cause see, Judah of Nazareth think that he's like a force in this conscious community. And I'm trying to explain to them niggas, y'all don't even understand. When Sonetta see me on your channel, he is feeling some kind of way. Like, are y'all about to wake up the bear? Now, they gonna do everything but talk about Pit Boss. Watch what I tell you. They gonna smash at him and avoid talking about me. Period. I don't give a fuck if it's Nepal, Sonetta, or whoever. They gonna say everything, but don't mention Pit Boss. That's a name you don't want to war with on this YouTube shit. You really don't. You think you do till you get that, till that nigga put you in the crosshairs, and I have to go over there and listen to all your shit. Cause see, the way I do it, when I'm ready to focus in on you, I'm gonna go watch all your shit. I'm gonna spend a whole month watching the dumbest shit on YouTube ever, and I'm gonna watch everything. I'm taking down minute numbers and statements, and I'm gonna connect all dots. I'm gonna find out much goddamn shit I can, and then I'm gonna turn that shit off and commence to baking your ass in the oven. Back to back to back to back shit. Back to back to back shit. I'm gonna use you against yourself. I'm gonna show how fucking stupid you was in December compared to how dumb you are in March. I'm gonna work through your shit. You're gonna be looking, you're gonna listen, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? It don't matter which one of these dumb niggas smash. But I'm not really, I mean, you know, it didn't pay me anything to go over there and smash on Judah himself, because he just way too weak as a YouTuber to utilize my energy for this low level intelligence. So I just went over there and had a conversation. They got the calmest pit boss I ever displayed on YouTube. I sat there polite, letting these niggas talk, tell me all this ridiculous ass renditions of the Bible and nonsense ass comprehension levels and shit. And I just sat through that shit, asking questions, you know what I mean? I mean, they ask you so much, and then they got these young kid type niggas on there. That nigga think he really gaming. Oh well, let me show you how this is really a spiritual thing. And like, nigga, would you get your ass out of here? Who are you? What are you doing? Why is you niggas on this channel with me? Why don't you nigga wait till I get off before you hit the link? But they don't even know how to utilize the talent. Like, nigga, you'd have got a better show if it would have just been me on the channel talking to him. Like, all these side voices you got, irrelevant ass niggas, only brought the quality of the show down. We would have got more conversation in, head up. We could have covered more information. No, we gotta wait 10 minutes while you got some dumbass side nigga on the side talking stupid shit. And I gotta let him speak 10 minutes. They don't know how to run a show. You don't know how to get the best out of what you got to work with. That's what they don't know. But I played along and let them do it how they want to. And then, before long, right when I was about to go, some chick named Nandy, who was one of Hashim and Zinga's soldiers, was in the audience. And I spent a few minutes talking about how I filmed the new Black Panther Party for 5 years. And then she thought about it. Oh, you're that pit boss, that guy. So she's like, I know him. Yeah, she met me in Atlanta, and she jumped on the show. But she had her own little demons that she was fighting. So she decided she gonna smash on Sonetta. So, I threw her a bone. Yeah, I told her some shit that Hashim told me about Sonetta, how the OG nigga Khalid slapped the shit out of Sonetta back in the day, man. And she just loved that because they needed some kind of goddamn fuel for the fire. And even though I tried to explain to them niggas who I am, this conscious community in reference to Sonetta, because they really don't know, they didn't even know how to use it for their benefit. They really didn't know how to say, you know what? I remember, let's go in. We could have curved this show to smash on Sonetta. But instead, they didn't know what the fuck was going on. So now they see that I left and I got it turned up over here for y'all, and they going in. I guarantee you none of them shows they going in on ain't none of them niggas over here in my channel, in my goddamn shit, talking that shit. Ain't nobody typed in digital pit boss, this, that, and the third. They don't want it. They don't even want to wake the bear up at all. It's better that you leave me alone for your own good than to try to think you about to get down on this YouTube shit. Ain't possible. I showed y'all that by going solo on these niggas for 5 years straight. 2,000 videos in on these niggas. And yet to hear you niggas try to expose anything. But, half of the YouTube is about getting donations. The other half is about education. Or entertainment. We can chop it up in thirds. It's either education, entertainment, or donations. You're going to focus on one, two, or all three. If you got any sense. And the last thing they can do is make my name popular. Because, boy, I will extort that. You push my name to where everybody, who the fuck is Pit Boss? Let me go see what the fuck. I come on this motherfucker and 500 motherfuckers chime in. I'm turning the fuck up. I'm going all day now. Let me get some attention. I'm going to go all motherfucking day. And, boy, I'm going to revisit all the information. Every goddamn thing. I might even get my editing machine out and start going back and editing shit to keep the entertainment value going. And if I catch hold, it's on. I'm going to show you niggas how to go do Jesse Lee Peterson. I'm going to come on that motherfucker. But really what y'all waiting for Really what y'all waiting for is a documentary on Satanism in the conscious community. I'm talking about a real deep, well put together exposition of Satanism in the consciousness of America. And then connect those dots to the secular world, to Hollywood, show you the comparison between what Jay-Z is teaching, what Aleister Crowley is teaching, and what polite young Pharaoh and the black atheist niggas is teaching, and the similarities of these things. Also, that show you how the Hebrew Israelites is teaching this same shit. With their biblical version of Satanism. They got a biblical version of Satanism. That's all. This shit ain't God's speech. You can tell when you look around the world on a big stage like Russia versus Ukraine, and you realize that Ukraine, the government of Ukraine was pushing democratic socialism. And Russia is promoting conservative values in their country to offset the Jewish alliance with the Russian people of Ukraine. They're not talking about y'all niggas paradigms on a world stage like that. It's your shit's so irrelevant, they wouldn't even think about using it. It's Christianity versus Satanism. It ain't Hebrew Israelites versus Satanism. It ain't the Kemetic system versus Satanism. It's always Christianity versus Satanism in the form of all forms that it take. And Satanism take 1,000 forms. It takes the form of evolution. It takes the form of Moorish Science Temple. It takes the form of Hinduism, Buddhism, Black atheism, Hebrew Israelisms. It takes all those forms because it doesn't want to be identified as Satanism. The only form Satanism cannot take is Christianity. It can only invade Christianity and try to obscure it, but it never presents itself as Christianity, because you can't talk that doctrine because we got the recorded words of Jesus. And if your shit don't match up, it's not that. That's it. It's just that simple. If you say anything out your mouth that don't match up, boy, you're going to be exposed as soon as you say it. Because Christianity is too well known, doctrine too well written, history too well defined, that you can't steal it, that you can't imitate it, that you can't recreate it. It's too well known. That's it. So it's Satanism in every form. Rap, and it come in the rap form. It come in booty shake music. It come in trap music, drill music. That shit getting everything. Everything. Anyway, anytime you get bored of Satanism, it will switch up its delivery. It will be like, oh, you don't like this no more? All right, we're gonna give you drill music. Satanism reemerges as drill music. You get tired of drill music, we'll come as gangster music. You tired of that, we'll come as pop music. You tired of that, it'll keep switching it up because it knows that you get tired of Satanism. And to keep you interested, it just keeps switching up the way it delivers its information to you. But you can always tell that it's Satanism because the doctrine is always concurrent with other doctrines. It always agrees with the other bullshit in one fashion or another. That's how you're going to always know. Oh, trust and beliefs don't gather. When I keep telling y'all that I have piles of videos, so much shit that if you was to go back, I got one show where it's like about 10 different people came on my channel. I forget the name of it, but it's about 4 hours long. And it was shortly after I did decide now. I remember this big fat nigga named 335 or 337 or some shit. All these. And I said something about good and evil. That was something like the topic. Well, I happened to click on the shit. And sometimes I'll sit and listen to one of my own shows. And I'll be sitting there thinking to myself, I'll start talking about shit I haven't covered in so long that I kind of forgot I dealt with that. But I don't forget the information. Once I kind of view that I'm talking about it, it'll rush back to me. I'll be like, yeah. But when I think about shit I was talking about, it's just amazing. See, one thing about my channel is you can go back before Trump and listen to shit I was talking about. And then listen to Donald Trump, or compare it to the years of Donald Trump. But understand when I'm saying what I'm saying, I have influence of a Donald Trump. He wasn't out there like that. So if you go check a video out before 2017, 2016, that's when it all kicked in. A lot of them are, like, I got a funny show called Children of the Corn. It's about Polite and Young Pharaoh. I call them Children of the GMO Corn because I took that title from the movie Children of the Corn. And I did this one about Young Pharaoh and Sarah Sutanseti pushing the craft. But I did it in a very entertaining way, the way I delivered my content at the time. And that one is an open video that you could go back and click on and get that raw and uncut. But if you listen to what I'm saying and understand that at this point, Young Pharaoh was just leaving the Sinetta platform. They was going through that battle. And I told Young Pharaoh he need to do an interview on Israel Doctrine's channel. And he came on Israel Doctrine channel an hour later. This is how bad a nigga is. With a small ass channel, I direct Young Pharaoh to a channel. I don't even know. I hadn't even had a direct conversation with Young Pharaoh. But he was listening to the show. And I said, Israel Doctrine is Sinetta's biggest enemy. And wouldn't it be amazing if Young Pharaoh showed up on Sinetta's biggest enemy channel? And that was Israel Doctrine at the time. So an hour later, just as I said, Young Pharaoh and Israel Doctrine doing an interview. And it was hilarious. Even though the video I'm doing is about Young Pharaoh. But I always did them kind of videos as pure entertainment. I'm going to throw my history in, but the only reason I'm using these niggas is because it's too comical. I can't pass it up. And yeah, see, Stone Gather, remember that. He remembered that one. That meant, boy, you really come back from this YouTube shit. And then Young Pharaoh runs off and become the mega channel that he became. But prior to that, Pitt Boss was regulating consciousness from a little bitty channel. Never getting an opportunity to go sit on any of these big platforms and get their attention. That's the difference between me and the rest of these dudes. Y'all got to get on their channels to get attention. I got all these niggas watching me. So if I only had 100 videos, 50 of these big ass channels chiming in. Why? Because I was that fucking potent that they have to listen to my shit. But they damn sure ain't gonna come over there and get on my channel. I didn't tell Young Pharaoh to come on and get an interview with me. I told him to go to Israel Doctrine. Just because I'm regulating consciousness. And that's just what it is. But look, I've been on too long, and y'all do not pay me for this shit. So, you know how we do it. I might pop in on one of y'all YouTube channels because I'm watching right now. Be careful if you see me out there.